We get to Jones-McCallum. Terrific 122-pound bout between Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the most respected fighters in the sport, and Junior Jones of New York. Barrera is the kind of punishing body puncher who is used to just walking through his opponents. Jones has probably the longest, stiffest jab that Barrera has ever faced. So who holds the tactical upper hand?
He will not be able to walk through Jones' jab for the first 3 rounds. No doubt about that. Jones has the best jab in boxing in the first 3 or 4 rounds. But this fight will come down. Has Junior Jones the endurance to be able to overcome and last into the latter rounds where this fight is going to go in the latter round? He can do it only if he sucks deep and he's prepared.
大家好，老师从业中医男科30余年，帮助了数千名海内外华人朋友通过中药调理重回男性雄风。如果你也存在房事时间短、勃起无力、硬度差、中途疲软、肾虚、前列腺炎等问题。 现在就加中医老师微信574-993-200，纯中药，一人一方，治根治本，帮助你持续坚挺20至40分钟，补肾壮阳，延时助勃，彻底告别快男软男。记住微信574-993-200。
Names like Cuevas, Palomino, Gonzalez, Chavez, and Barrera's own hero, Salvador Sanchez.
I liked the aggressiveness of Sanchez in the ring, the way he hit the body. But I have never liked being compared to others. I don't want to be compared to the other Mexican champions. I want to make my own career, my own reputation, different from those who have come before me, and yet obviously running in the same direction as them. And I think this is what I am doing. I am forging my own future.
The 22-year-old Barrera has always been an independent thinker. He once planned to leave the ring to attend law school, but now hopes to follow his father's footsteps on retirement, working in the Mexican movie business.
I think his job is really beautiful because he creates for movies, commercials, and videos. What father wouldn't like his son to follow the career of his grandparents? My father worked in cinematography, and my brother did as well. Now I work as a set designer, and my children like being in the business too.
It is in no way surprising that Barrera would choose the family business. When not training, he can usually be found at the family home about an hour from Mexico City.
We have been living here for about 10 years. My family and I like the tranquility. We like being away from the city, surrounded by nature. It is a great, rich place. The weather is perfect. It is the best place to maintain good physical conditioning. My father found himself the perfect spot to give us what we were looking for. Peace.
Peaceful, tranquil. 2 words that describe his home and his psyche when he's not fighting.
Outside the ring, I am a person who is shy and quiet, maybe too quiet. When I'm not training, I play tennis or go with my father to work. But I would say that I'm shy. He is a calm kid, a calm son, the calmest son I have. But once in the ring, he surprises me. It's his aggressiveness. Outside the ring, he's calm, but once inside the ring, he transforms. When I go out, people start to yell and scream, Mexico, Barrera. Then you climb into the ring and see your family and everyone in the world who believes in you. From there, the aggression grows. From the presentation of you by the ring announcer to when you see your rival for the first time. The rules are read, and that is when it begins to mount. Then you're face to face, the body's adrenaline is at its maximum.
In February, this quiet Mexican proved he had the stuff that champions are made of when he knocked out Kennedy McKinney in the 12th round of what some called the fight of the year.
Then I was down. To me it felt like I had slipped, but the referee counted me down. And I got up thinking, I have to get up and knock him out, because I can't win this fight any other way.
And Barrera thinks he can finish off of that one. And his corner watches with their hearts and their throats as he goes in and starts taking chances to throw.
McKinney is a weak fighter now. Barrera knows it.
And that's it.
After the bout, in typical Barrera style, his celebration was more businesslike than exuberant.
It is part of my personality. I don't know why. I have never had that explosion that all boxers have when they win. For me, it is like I have passed an exam. I pass it pretty well, no?
It may be a while before Barrera quits the ring to join his father in the movie business. He's too busy writing and starring in his own movie now, one made in the great Mexican boxing tradition.
How will it end? Well, I think that all movies have happy endings, and in this case it won't be any different.
The ringside for the tail of the tape. You can see that Barrera is 3 years younger than Jones. Jones with a half-inch height advantage. They both weighed in right at the weight limit of 122 pounds. There are 126-pounders all over the world waiting for Barrera and his economic impact to move up. But Jones would like to put a stop to all of that tonight. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Let's take a look and see how active they are. You can see that they throw and land comparable numbers of punches. The story is, however, that Barrera throws the heavier stuff, and that will be shown when we look at the number of jabs that are thrown, and you'll see that Jones throws many, many more jabs than Barrera, twice as many in fact. He'll have to keep up that advantage in order to stay in this fight.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Marco Antonio Barrera Jr. Jones fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the belt in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Harold Letterman. And now let's bring Junior Jones into the ring. There was a time a couple of years ago when Jones was the subject of the same kind of hype and celebration that now surrounds Barrera. But then the 2 unexpected losses in 1994, which up to this point define his career. He's won 8 straight on the comeback trail and can get back to that level of stardom that he once occupied if he scores a victory tonight.
He showed that he wants back with his defeat of Orlando Canizales, the great former bantamweight champion, early this year. But I want to tell you a good story about boxing, which we don't often hear. Jones's manager, his name is Gary Gittleson, gave up his entire share of the purse to Jones for this fight. And his promoter, Cedric Kushner, gave up everything except his expenses. Reason being, they wanted Jones to make a big payday. They know that this could be his last big money fight.
It's a beautiful story, George. Could it damage the fighter's confidence by suggesting to him that they don't think he can win the fight?
I do agree. You don't want anything to be an extra burden on a fighter, and that kind of thoughts can penetrate a fighter. You're right.
Good for his pocketbook, maybe not so good for his psyche. Here's the record for Junior Jones, 42-2, 26 KOs. It is his left jab on which he'll have to depend tonight because he has a damaged right hand and is looking ahead to surgery following this bout.
He took some shots in his hand before the fight, and he iced that hand down. He says it hasn't given him trouble in his last few fights.
So as Poison Jones waits in the ring, Marco Antonio Barrera, with the Mexican music accompaniment, gets ready to bring his perfect overall record, perfect record in title fights, into the ring.
Mexico produces, about every decade, a once-in-a-decade kind of fighter that we become very familiar with, going back to Salvador Sanchez and, of course, Julio Cesar Chavez, who happen to be Barrera's heroes. Perhaps he will be in that class if he can maintain the way he's looked in recent fights for the next couple of years.
And as we suggested to you, he already occupies the kind of stardom tier which has the smell of money to potential opponents. You might have heard 126-pounder Kevin Kelly and his people talking about Barrera after Kevin's victory last week. Prince Nassim Hamed, unbeaten from England at 126 pounds, is here at ringside tonight to observe Barrera and try to decide whether he might be interested in angling for a big money fight with Marco Antonio. There are others, and Junior Jones wants to change all of their plans. The record for Barrera, 43-0, 31 KOs, many of them fashioned with his brutal left hook.
for the official introductions, let's go up to ring announcer Mark Biro.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the beautiful Ice Palace in downtown Tampa, Florida, as HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. Under the promotion of Yared Productions and Square Ring Incorporated, in association with Yared, Motley and Rice Incorporated, and Budweiser, proud to be your bud. Your matchmaker is good guy Jim Waldrop. Tonight's bouts are under the auspices of the Florida State Athletic Commission, the Chairman Eric Riley, Vice Chairman Terry James, Commissioners Al Goodman, Dr. Jack Gugino, and Aleida Waldman. The attending Executive Director is Mike Shanti. Ring officials assigned by the Florida State Athletic Commission. Attending ringside physicians are Dr. Rodolfo Eichberg, Dr. Victor Martinez, and Dr. Frank Colunga. Your timekeeper this evening is the bodacious Billy Harold, and counting for the knockdowns at the bell, the alternate referee, Tommy Kimmins. This is your first championship bout of the evening. 12 rounds for the WBO Junior Featherweight Championship of the world. Ring officials assigned by the World Boxing Organization, President Francisco Valquerzal and Supervisor Alfonso Munera. Your judges at ringside are Sam Birouette from Brooklyn, New York, and from Miami, Florida, Paul Herman, and from Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico, Jose Rivera. Your referee for this event from Tampa, Florida, Max Parker Jr. Introducing now the contestants. First, in the blue corner to my right, wearing red trunks, white trim, weighing 122 pounds, with a professional record of 42 victories, 2 defeats, 26 wins by way of knockout. He hails from Brooklyn, New York, the IBC Junior Featherweight Champion of the world, and the challenger, Junior Poison Jones. And ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, wearing los colores de Mexico, red, white, and green, he also weighs 122 pounds. He is undefeated in 43 professional bouts. He has 31 wins by way of knockout. El hijo de la República de Mexico and WBO Junior Featherweight Champion of the world, Marco Antonio Barrera. 12 rounds for the WBO Junior Featherweight Championship of the world.
Go, champ. Let's go. Okay, gentlemen, this bout is for the World Boxing Organization Championship title. The one rules in the dressing room. From this point until the end of the bout, you both obey my every command. I wish you both luck. Touch gloves, come out, box on the bell.
Jim, Roy, Junior Jones has a record of 35-0 against Mexican fighters. He hasn't faced a Mexican fighter like Barrera. Before this is over, he may think he's in with 2 or 3 Mexican fighters at once.
A lot of interesting stories surround Jones tonight. He spent most of the past 3 months in training with a fellow named Evander Holyfield because they share the services of trainer Tommy Brooks. He shares Holyfield's faith, his role as an underdog, and ultimately, of course, he hopes the outcome as well. In addition, they have hired Lou Duva for this fight to work as a second in Jones's corner because they believe that Barrera hits low and gets away with it. And if he does, they want Duva to create a ruckus, which they say Lou does better than anybody else in the sport.
That's a first for me, Jim. I never heard of a
designated ruckus creator.
There's always something.
But you heard George Foreman say that for the first 3 or 4 rounds of the bout, Junior Jones has what George called the best jab in boxing. He's got to get it going early, George.
Yeah, Junior Jones' strategy should be steal this fight. Don't try to go out there and win it in the first, second round. Just load this guy to sleep, get ahead on point, stay ahead. And of course, Barrera, he should understand, don't go looking for a knockout. Win the fight, the knockout should come.
Junior must do everything possible to be sure that he stays in a boxing match with Barrera. The closer Barrera gets to Jones on a regular basis, the more trouble Junior will be in. They trade punches in the center of the ring. Jones with the jab, Barrera going with the left hand to the body.
And Jones landed a very good right hand. You just can't win with the jab. And sometimes you've got to set the jab up by hitting him with a right hand, just as you do the reverse.
That right hand will make Barrera respect Junior Jones for a couple of rounds so he can establish himself as the better boxer. But if he goes in and try to finish because he did hurt him with that right hand, he could turn this thing into a knockdown dragout.
Well, already they're back at a punching distance. Jones extending the jab and trying to keep Barrera on the end of it. He said he wanted to get Barrera's attention early with some hard shots, and he did it with that one right hand.
Now that right hand that Junior Jones landed.
Another one.
And it could have made him a bit more aggressive than he ought to be at this early in the stage of the fight. But he smells a knockout. He may be smelling improperly now.
He's on his way to winning the first round, and so far, the right hand shows no sign that he can't throw it or will pull it because of pain.
And Barrera, uncharacteristically going backward, because early in a fight he does try to impose his will on his opponents.
It's hard to go forward all the time against a jab like Junior's.
Right now, Jones is having his way with Barrera.
Ordinarily, I would say so, but I wouldn't want to mix it up with this guy this early in the fight.
And there Barrera lands a left hand and then a little right inside. So Marco Antonio Barrera getting in a couple of quick counters in the last 10 seconds of a round largely controlled by Junior Jones. And as we go to Barrera's corner, our interpreter is Hector Garcia.
Que no vuelva a pasárselas a las derechas.
Don't do this again.
No vuelva a pasar.
Don't do this again.
Manos bien arriba. Bien arriba porque
You're avoiding those punches fine.
Vivo.
Be alive. Turn around, and when he throws that right hand, then turn around and hit him. Use your left hand inside.
Here's that big right hand very early in the round that certainly got Barrera's attention for the rest of the round.
And as you saw, Jones landed another solid right cross later on in the round. Meanwhile, he threw 54 jabs, exactly doubling Barrera's output in round number 1. And you can see that Harold Letterman gave round 1 to Junior Jones. We'll check in with Harold verbally for his scorecard at a few key junctures in the fight.
I think Junior Jones may have opened up too early with his right hands. He could have concealed the power he has for a few rounds. Once a guy tastes your power early, he thinks, oh, I survived. He'll walk right through you.
You saw the trademark Barrera left hook to the lower body, digging in hard against Jones's lower rib cage. That is truly Marco Antonio's bread and butter, is body punching, especially with the left hand.
He also was able to land a good left hook to the below the belt there before that round ended. So he's putting everything in perspective.
Well, we'll find out how engaged Lou Duva is if he lands a few more low blows. Should see Lou popping up out of the corner. if in fact it takes place.
What's going to happen is Junior Jones' corner is going to have to calm him down and take him back to boxing. Go back to boxing, forget this punching, matching blow for blow. It's just not going to work. He was too excited by the success of that initial right hand. It may have caused him to be just a bit overconfident.
As they get into close quarters and exchange punches, you can see Barrera going to the body. Junior Jones trying to work upstairs. Barrera doing a pretty effective job of tying him up in there.
The referee is making a very bad mistake telling these guys to break with his hands on their back. You got to get in there and get between those guys.
Another low blow by Barrera. The referee didn't see it. Much of the crowd did.
You know, McKinney fought a wonderful fight against Barrera. And he got pulled into these kinds of exchanges also when he did his best work from outside. And Jones is now getting into exchanges that he doesn't need, George.
Yeah, he's gotten away from his game plan. Oh, another low blow.
And again, the referee does and says nothing. So there have been about 4 of those low blows already by Barrera.
Back it up.
We're going to have to wait to see if Junior Jones's corner will try to do something about it.
Let's go, Junior.
Good hard right hand by Jones. Barrera shakes it off, comes back inside. Body punching. And round 2 seemed to belong to Marco Antonio Barrera.
I need 2 or 3 jabs at a time, okay? All right. Shorten up the hook. Okay? Your hook is coming a little too wide, baby. Okay. And look, when you throw these shots, when you get close, man, come around the side. Okay? Start banging this guy in the arms, too, okay? Don't just wait on him. Don't wait on him. Don't let him get the momentum. You start the momentum, okay? All right, baby. You're doing good. Doing great. Very well. Doing great.
Don't go in too straight. Keep turning this guy. Turn this guy. Turn this guy. And smack that jab out of him. And get that right hand off.
Good. Need that jab.
Move it, Red. Get out.
What's inside? That looked like it was right on the top of the trunks. I didn't think it was a bad low blow.
No.
Let's see if Jones goes back to that jab.
Good right hand by Jones and a left hook in there. Barrera taking both punches. Tripling up, quadrupling up on the jab. Now he's back to the fight plan.
No. I got him.
Now Junior Jones is establishing his left hand. It's been a superior jab, but he's got to make sure he keeps himself moving. Don't just jab and stand there, because this Barrera is aiming a good right hand over top of that left jab. Now a good jab by Barrera.
Barrera willing to jab with the jabber.
Junior Jones' corner should easily tell him, win this thing with a left jab. Who cares about the right hand at this point?
And stay out at this distance, right? I mean, this is a good, manageable working distance for Junior Jones.
And Barrera should try to mix it up, get in and get those body punches. Keep close to this guy. Don't give him any false courage.
One thing about Barrera when he's coming in, if he has a flaw, he lacks head movement a lot of the time. Tends to come straight in and back straight out, right?
He has this great desire to mix it up, and once you have that, no one can talk you out of it.
Junior Jones lands a right hand and a solid left hook, and then ties up Barrera. An excellent piece of work in the middle of the ring.
When you throw that kind of power, you've got to get some oxygen from somewhere, so it's best to tie your guy up.
Let him go, Junior.
Barrera sneaking in the hard left-hand body shot. Junior Jones has managed the ring very well in this round, keeping an appreciable distance between himself and Barrera, and landing the left hand up and downstairs.
Go push him. Go push him. I got you.
This referee is paying no attention to the low blows. Ooh, what a left hook by Barrera to the body.
He commits so hard that left hook to the body.
Watch your hands. Watch your hands.
Jones just missing a right hand. Barrera damaging Jones in the middle of the chest with a hard left-hand shot.
Jones' arms are longer, so it's at a disadvantage for him to get close and start trading shots.
And still to come, the man most critics now regard as the world's best pound-for-pound fighter, 168-pound world champion, moving up to fight for a 175-pound interim title tonight. Roy Jones Jr. against the smartest opponent of his career, 39-year-old Mike McCallum. Never let it be said that Roy can be unaware of when the red light is on in the dressing room camera.
You keep throwing those punches below, he's not going to last. Up to that bottom, top and bottom. And counter punch with those hooks. You listen to me?
So far, Roy Jones has shown that he is a real quality fighter, but it's a long way to go, and he has been absorbing body punishment.
You mean Junior Jones?
Junior Jones.
We have a lot of confusion here tonight with Junior Jones in one fight and Roy Jones Jr. in the other. Jones Jr., Junior Jones. And Kevin, we're boxing fans. Letterman's card through 3. When Jones throws a lot of jabs, he tends to control the action. He threw 46 of them in round 3 and landed half of his power shots as a result.
Barrera is making a mistake to let Junior Jones establish even one round where it's mostly his left jab, because this guy gets some courage. His endurance and thought of endurance will increase. He should stay on Junior Jones if he want to win this thing. Stay on him.
While we were looking at Roy Jones, the men in Barrera's corner were telling their fighter that they thought Junior Jones was ready to go and that he should step in and pressure him and look to do damage.
Back it up. I'm pushing. Save the energy. Get the jab back. Get that jab back.
Barrera throwing to the left arm of Junior Jones. And now he lands a right uppercut on the button as Jones backs away. Sneaks in a low blow, and the referee has seen it.
For the first time he noticed, but that wasn't the worst of the low blows. If in fact it was a low blow.
Well, I thought it was a low blow, but the referee really didn't see it.
Okay.
Junior Jones had to sell him on it.
That's true. That's true. If you're going to sell it, this is the time to sell it.
But he sold it to him from conviction because he knew he had been hit.
Boy, he
believed in the product he was selling.
So at least referee Max Barker Jr. has now addressed the subject. We're in round 4. Jones landing left hands. Hard right hand by Junior Jones. And another one in close. Barrera shaking those punches off and coming back with artillery of his own. Barrera, like so many Mexican stars, Chavez among them, willing to take punishment in order to give more of it back.
When you're not a good boxer, stand-up boxer, you know that your chance for glory has to be in the mix-up there. You got to keep mixing it up.
There must be something about Barrera's style that entices his opponents to go into exchanges with him. They see openings, they shoot for the openings, sometimes they hit the openings, but in the meantime, he's building a foundation for the later rounds by going to the body.
That's exactly true, not better said. He flinches when you hit him with the good right hands. He give you this false confidence that he won't last long, but he'll be there.
And then in the meantime, you wind up fighting his fight.
Exactly. Left hand stopped Barrera in his tracks momentarily.
And then Jones fired a left, and now Jones fires a right hand to the chin of Barrera. And then Barrera comes back, and this is deteriorating into the kind of war that Barrera fought with Kennedy McKinney. And logic tells you that Junior Jones shouldn't be in that kind of a fight with him.
That's it.
Harold Letterman, your score through 4 rounds.
Larry, 2 rounds apiece, 38-38. I gave rounds 1 to 3 to Junior Jones. I thought he outfought Barrera, but boy, I tell you, Marco's starting to take over. I thought Marco won that 4th round. He's digging that left hook hard to Junior's body. Junior's not moving side to side at all. He's standing right in front of Marco. I don't think he can beat Marco that way. And incidentally, in the 2nd round, that was an awful display of rabbit pitching for both guys.
And incidentally, Harold, I have it 3 rounds to 1 for Jones. I gave him the last round.
I see it that way too. But then I never did see that way.
Come on, guys, get out, move it. Round 5. Round 5. Go back. No.
Unbeaten Marco Antonio Barrera in the gaily colored Mexican decor shorts.
Break on the back up. Back up on the back.
And Ivy Jones, nicknamed Poison, also called Junior Jones, in the red.
Let the arm go. Break. Back it up. Watch your hand in there, right?
Junior Jones is trying to get a knockout.
They bang heads.
Try to steal this fight. Steal it. The knockout will come if you steal it.
Break. Back it up. I got it.
But that's not who he is, George. Like Kennedy McKinney, like Kevin Kelly, like Meldrick Taylor before them. He has boxing skills, but he also has a warrior's heart. And sometimes that heart gets in the way.
Antonio Barrera leaping in with the left hook. Jones momentarily stunned into inactivity by it. And Barrera goes back to stalking his man.
Jones has a bloody nose, I believe.
And Barrera just stuck it with the left jab. Hard right hand by Junior. Crowd is excited to see Barrera take so many punches from Junior Jones.
The referee is at fault here. You cannot put your hands on the back of fighters and tell them to break. You got to get in there and do something yourself.
Oh no, there you go. Keep it clean.
Especially when there's been some punching below the belt. They're going to get upset and do bad things to one another.
There's been punching below the belt. There's been holding behind the head. There's been rabbit punching, as Harold pointed out. We've had a little bit of everything in the early rounds.
It's a prize fight, guys. And Barrera is catching some straight, hard punches.
And Barrera now turns to Parker and says he's butting me under the eye. How about that?
It's been happening. That's why the referee has got to get in here and go to work. He can't stand off and do it with his mouth.
And there's a cut above the left eye now of Marco Antonio Barrera, which he's going to say is the result of the butt moments ago from the head of Junior Jones. Blood trickling into Barrera's left eye. New urgency for the unbeaten Mexican. Down he goes. Hard right hand by Junior.
Can he get out of the round? He's very hurt. Very hurt.
Look at me. Watch him.
The referee is giving him an awful long time to survive.
More time than he deserved.
Why did he get so much time to survive?
More time than he deserved, but it's going to be over. The bell ends the round. Barrera is knocked down. The referee stopped the fight.
Has the referee stopped the fight?
Referee has stopped the fight.
No, the cornermen came in to stop it also.
No, I don't believe so.
I think they were in to complain about the fouling. I don't think they wanted to stop it. Referee might have drawn the conclusion they wanted to stop it.
You did this.
The referee is confused. He's asking the timekeeper whether the bell went down before he stopped it.
The referee disqualified this guy for running into the ring.
Nobody Everybody seems certain of exactly what happened.
Well, we're going to find out shortly. But Junior Jones has picked up a monumental upset over Marco Antonio Barrera and revived his star status. Larry Merchant talking with ring announcer Mark Barrow to try to find out exactly what happened.
According to Barrow, that when the bell rang, Barrera's cornerman was already in the ring stopping it. I didn't see it that way. I thought he was coming in to pull his fighter back to the corner at the end of the round, not to stop the fight.
And George, you thought maybe the referee DQ'd him or felt that they wanted to stop the fight?
I think the corner was really trying to stop this fight.
You do?
Now, for what reason? It could have been because of the bell. It could have been
According to the cornermen, they are saying that they entered the ring because the bell rang. They did not enter the ring to stop the fight. But the corner of Jones wisely jumped in, started jumping up and down like the fight was over, and they seemed to be selling the referee, who wasn't sure of what was going on, to end the fight.
That's Lou Duva fight.
Yeah, I started to say, that's why George Foreman is saying to Lou Duva, you did this. and if Duva, in fact, had that effect on the referee, then he certainly earned his money as a part-time second tonight.
But to be honest, that fight was over by those right hands being landed by Junior Jones.
Junior Jones exploded in that round. Yep.
No one can take that away.
And Barrera was not as assertive as he normally is.
Wait a minute. They are still arguing this in the ring. I don't know what the outcome is.
So that's how the cut arrived on Barrera's left eye. And then moments later, there's the right hand over the top by Junior Jones that put Barrera down. Another look. In the fifth round, Jones landed 23 of 39 power shots. They're the most damaging one. Terrific right hand over the top. All three scoring judges had Barrera ahead in the fight at the moment of this knockdown. All three scoring judges had Barrera leading at the moment at which he was knocked out. Here's the end of the fight. Jones going after Barrera here. Bell rings. Referee steps in. Barrera's cornerman arrives. And moments later, as Jones's cornermen celebrate, and Parker, the referee, still had made no official ruling at that moment, George.
Can you believe it?
Another look at the end of the fight.
Believe me, this was the end.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Barrera was out on his feet to the degree that he was on his feet, landing there. I don't think he went down, though, until after the bell. So, therefore, there was no count. No count ever began.
Because of the excitement, I don't even think the referee heard the bell either.
You think Duva yelled, "Let's go celebrate"?
That Lou Duva is the man of the hour.
Now, there's the man of the hour, George. What a revival for Junior Jones, huh?
And what a good instinct to hire Lou Duva to work in his corner. Great instincts.
Tommy Brooks, trainer of Junior Jones, has his second dramatic upset of the month. Holyfield over Tyson, and now Junior over Barrera.
Boy.
All right, now let's look at a replay, and George and I will lay out, and you can listen to the bell at regular speed and see where the bell took place.
There's a lot of excitement. Now, the bell was not heard by the referee even. He's looking strictly at these fighters on the ring. He's not paying any attention to the sound of the bell. So he must have misunderstood the corner coming in.
A stunned Marco Antonio Barrera. Probably still at a loss for exactly what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 2 minutes, 59 seconds of the fifth round. The red corner enters the ring before the bell is rung. The winner by technical knockout and new WBO Junior Featherweight Champion of the World, Junior Poison Jones.
possibly be an accurate ruling, but I don't think the referee made it.
The referee had nothing to do with this. But I think Barrera made a mistake walking too straight in. He underestimated, as I did, the power of Junior Jones.
All right, Larry Merchant is standing by with a jubilant Junior Jones, and George Foreman said it all when he said Barrera, along with a lot of us, underestimated Jones's punching power tonight. Larry?
All right, Jim, I want to tell everybody first that WBO officials are saying they want to take a look at the tape to decide whether or not Barrera's corner people came into the ring before the bell rang or after the bell rang, as they insist. They say they were coming into the ring to rescue the fighter after the bell rang. If that is the case, we might have some cause for a different kind of decision to come down here. The referee says that he disqualified Barrera because the corner entered the ring just before the bell rang. Nevertheless, Junior Jones, at this moment, you are a champion again. Congratulations. Now, while we were commenting at the side, why doesn't Junior just jab him and jab him? You were going right at him. Was he that open for you, Junior?
No, well, like I said, I'm the best junior featherweight that ever walked this division. And I studied, but I did my homework hard on Barrera. And I knew I'm too strong for this division. So I knew that I can compete with him in his style and my style.
So you didn't feel that despite your edge with the jab, that you had to box to a win. You thought that despite his record, and you yourself say you were impressed by him, that you could fight with him.
Record is just a number. I fought the better fighters. I was champion of the world before he was. It just came down to it. You mess with the big dogs, I got to bite you. That's all I did.
He was throwing a lot of punches to the body, seemed to try to be building a foundation for a later round. Did he hurt you at all?
He never hurt me to the body. When he's punched to the body on tape, I know eventually I will catch him with the right hand or left hook. He goes to the body. He never covers himself. He's always wide open. So I was going to let him get happy, get brave, go into the body, and I was going to capitalize and hit him, which I did.
So instead of him making you brave and drawing you into a fight, you felt you were making him brave and drawing him into a fight.
Exactly. I'm the best fighter in this world. I mean, I'm the best junior fighter that ever walked in this division. And before I go, I'd like to give thanks to my Lord Jesus Christ to give me the strength. Chantel, baby, I'm coming home. Mommy, I love you.
Well, let's see if we can roll up the knockdown at the end of the fight. And there was no more surprised person in this arena than Juan Antonio Barrera when you decked him, which he had never been decked before, with that kind of a solid punch. Can we run that up, fellas? Here it is. Describe what happened.
Well, I was jabbing, waiting for him to come in. Well, I think that was the end of the stoppage. But what I was doing was, Tommy told me, punch him the turns. And every time I spit out, he's always open for the right hands. And I watched McKinney fight, and I knew I was going to catch. I got too much power for this division. I knew I was going to catch him.
It's a little quick to be talking about future opponents, but just give us a list of the guys you want to fight.
I mean, there's no list. I mean, whoever's the best at HBO, my manager, and the Paul's going to put together, I'm going with. I don't care who you put in there.
Tell us your thoughts about the fact that your manager, Gary Gittleson, and your promoter, Cedric Kushner, forewent their shares of your purse because they wanted you to have this big payday.
No, we knew we were going to win this fight, and we had confidence. So they shared for theirs because they knew in the future we're going to make much more money. I mean, we're going to be the highest earning junior feather, so they knew come down the line we'll make the money. So they wasn't even worried about it.
So you took it as faith in you rather than thinking this might be your last payday.
Well, my manager's right there. Ask him. I mean, he can describe better than I can.
All right, Gary, he asked me to hand it to you. It could have been interpreted that you thought that he might not get another big payday, was it?
If it was, Larry, the logical thing would have been to take the money and say goodbye. That's not what happened. We always had confidence in Junior. For 7 years, we invested in this, and he finally became an HBO star.
I lost my pure luck those two fights, and everybody got fooled. I mean, they know I'm the best in it. I mean, I lost it to pure and luck. That's the bottom line.
And the bottom line is that nobody, including Barrera, is invincible.
No, nobody. God didn't make no man like that, not even me. So I know, come here, I'm the best that ever did this. He did it big, I did it better.
Thank you very much, Junior. You're entitled to feel that way tonight. Back to you, Jim and George.
All right, let's take a look at final punch stat numbers for a triumphant Junior Jones. He threw 79 more punches than Barrera. He landed 34 more punches than Barrera. Landed a higher percentage. Landed more power shots. Was indeed the winning fighter right up until the moment when Barrera went down, at least in our view, despite what the official scorecard said. And let's give you the picture on one other story we've mentioned a couple of times, and that is our camera coverage of Lou Duva bounding into the ring to celebrate after the stoppage had become apparent and it became clear that Junior Jones was going to be declared the winner in the fight. I'm told that we can show you a camera shot of Lou Duva coming into the ring to celebrate, and George Foreman suggested that this was a big moment in helping to dictate the eventual outcome of the fight, as Duva's instincts were entirely correct. The fighter was going to celebrate, and Barrera's cornermen were there, and if you look at the left side of the screen, you're going to see Duva coming in and expressing his jubilation. That's about as fast as Lou can move at this particular stage. But there you go. That's the good stuff. That's Lou in full cry coming across the ring toward you, George.
You talk about an experienced corner man. You got to win them any way you can get them.
Listen, this takes us back to where we were 2.5 years ago in the sense that Junior is athletically gifted, has a great jab, has obviously got some power, terrific athlete. He can beat anybody.
Yeah, you would want to say that, but he fought the wrong fight. But tonight, he did it to the right fella. I never expected that. It's a surprise. Now, if he should establish himself as a good boxer, he'll last a long time. But stay away from mixing it up.
You're surprised? I'm surprised. Let's hear from somebody who's even more surprised. Marco Antonio Barrera.
Marco Antonio, would you describe to us what you thought happened at the end of the fight?
¿Puedes describir qué fue lo que pasó al final de esta pelea?
Lo que pasa es que sonó la campana, yo bajé las manos y él me siguió tirando golpes.
What happened was the bell rang, I dropped my hands, and he could continue to throw punches. That's what happened.
You did look hurt and even stunned, however.
Tú lucías como que estabas herido.
Pues lo que pasa es que sí me agarró al bajar las manos, me metió esos golpes de lleno, pero la pelea ya la teníamos, él ya estaba controlado con el golpe abajo.
Of course, the minute I dropped my hands, you know, he kept hitting me, so he hurt me. But I knew I was beating this guy. I was beating him.
You had a cut on your eye from a headbutt in that round. You were knocked down by a clean punch. Were you shocked by the turn of events?
Te dieron un cabezazo y también te tumbaron. Estabas... ¿Qué pasó?
Pues lo que pasa es que me dio un cabezazo, yo me desconcerté porque se me aventó con la cabeza y el referee no dijo nada. Después la pelea continuó, pues yo me seguía quejando. Cuando sonó la campana bajé las manos para dirigirme a mi esquina. Me metió golpes y fue cuando fui a la lona.
Oh, he hit me first with his head, and I shook up, and then he continued to hit me, and I just couldn't continue.
Everybody thought before this fight, perhaps yourself included, that you were invincible. Do you think that in some way that contributed to the outcome tonight?
¿Crees que la gente creían que tú eras invencible? ¿Crees que esta pelea tuvo algo que ver con eso?
En este deporte no hay ningún invencible. Un caso más cercano está Mike Tyson. Aquí en este deporte, como se puede ganar, como se puede perder, pero yo creo que esta vez no perdí como se debe de perder.
In this business, no one is invincible. The perfect example is Mike Tyson, and he lost, and I lost like I lost.
What do you see in your future now? Do you see a rematch here?
¿Qué ves en tu futuro ahora? ¿Ves una revancha con Jones?
Pues yo creo que sí, vamos a exigir una revancha directa porque a mí no me ganó arriba del ring como se debe de ganar. Si no hubiese noqueado en los minutos efectivos, hoy lo felicito, pero me noqueó cuando tenía las manos abajo.
Yeah, we're going to ask for a rematch because he did not beat me clean.
Thank you very much, Marco Antonio. Okay, now we want to talk to the referee and give us your version, sir, of what happened at the end of the round.
Well, in the round, they was on the ropes over there, and he was taking a beating. I heard a 10-second warning, and then as I observed by peripheral vision, I saw the red corner come out, so at that time I disqualified it.
So you feel definitely that they started to come into the ring before the bell rang?
Definitely. In fact, I checked it with the timekeeper before I made that determination to make sure I was correct.
All right, let's take a look at the tape and see what it shows and what the sound will tell us. This is after the knockdown. We cannot hear the bell, so we cannot clearly make any judgment from this, and we have to take your word for it, and that's why you're here.
Well, if you also look at the tape, you can see the guys halfway across the ring. It's impossible that the bell just rang from be that quick. So I definitely saw him coming right before the bell rang.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jim?
All right, Larry. George?
I compliment the referee. In the end, I didn't like his refereeing early on, but in the end, he proved a valuable asset. But that headbutt could have been the initial start of turning Barrera's world upside down. He just didn't know how to receive it.
All in all, a rematch is justified, right?
No doubt about it. I'd pay to see it. I would pay to see that.
Fortunately for you and me, we won't have to pay to see it. Now let me toss you a huge softball that I think you're going to like. A word about the power of faith. This guy spent the last 2 months with Evander Holyfield, who he says taught him a lesson about believing in himself.
No doubt there's a bright spot to hang around Evander Holyfield these days. I mean, he's praying, and his prayers are coming true. His prayers are coming about.
Indeed they have. All right, so much for Jones-Barrera, a fight that will no doubt be talked about for a while to come, perhaps until they get back into the ring to do it one more time. Let's look ahead now to the second of our two main events tonight on HBO.